Hello and good evening everybody and welcome back. Are you ready for some more reading? I've got my book. My therapy buddies have got the night off, so shall we begin? Today we'll be looking at famous failures. All one, I can see one here. JZ, or as you Americans like to call him, Jay-Z, who, after a quick glance at Wikipedia, is not controversial. Or not massively anyway. So it's okay to talk about him. In hindsight, I probably should have quickly breezed through the other book to see if there's any others. But you know what? I'll worry about that when I come across it. Famous failure. Jay-Z. As in the millions of records sold, multiple Grammy Award winning rapper, the multi-millionaire businessman, the man who even managed to marry actual Beyonce, as opposed to the fake Beyonce. That Jay-Z. Not only is Jay-Z one of the most successful musicians of all time, he also owns a record label, has numerous clotheslines, a drinks company, a tech company, and his own music streaming service. And I really don't think this can be said enough. He married Beyonce. Good for him. In what parallel universe, though, could he possibly be considered to have failed? Well, the music industry can be tough to crack. I'm going to refer to him as Jay-Z from now on, by the way, because, Jay said is only funny once. Actually, it's probably not. It's probably funny about 0 times. So for now on, I'm going to refer to him as Jay-Z by his actual name. As Jay-Z discovered when he first started out, the music industry can be tough to crack. Young hip-hop artists struggled to find a record label that would back him. No one would give him a break. But rather than give up, Jay-Z sold his CDs out of his car before founding his own record label, and the rest is history. Not only did he create a launchpad for his own music, he also went on to become one of the world's most successful business visionaries, responsible for the careers of many stars including Rihanna. What a comeback. Just one, I was expecting, when he said careers of stars, I was expecting there to be more than one mentioned. But still. Rihanna's quite successful, I've heard of her, so she must be successful. And there's a quote here from Jay-Z. I will not lose, for even in defeat there's a valuable lesson learned, so it evens up for me. You learn more in failure than you ever do in success. Finding your growth mindset groove. We know about neuroplasticity. We know it takes a long time to build the neural connections needed to be brilliant at anything. So the performance we are watching must be the result of lots of practice. No one gets good at football by simply stretching before the match. No one aces the physics test just by thinking about Stephen Hawking on the bus on the way to school. These things take time, effort, and determination. They take practice. Let's face it, this idea of talent is everywhere. Roger Federer has been said to have tennis encoded in his DNA. Simone Biles is described in the US as a natural daredevil, as if you come into the world all ready to launch into a triple somersault and land straight on your feet. Tiger Woods is said to have been born to play golf. So come with me on a journey to debunk a few famous talent myths. Mozart. What people think. He was a child prodigy, composing pieces for the violin and piano by the age of 6 and producing many works before his 10th birthday. Quite simply, Mozart was born a musical genius. The facts. Mozart's father was also a composer and performer, as well as an expert teacher. What's more, he was a dedicated dad who's put his son through intensive musical training from the age of 3. By the time Mozart was 6, he put in about 3,500 hours of practice. Mozart was a child prodigy who composed music when he was super young. Lost my breath there. But only because he had done a whole heap of practice under the watchful eye of his dad. How many 6-year-olds do you know who have done all that practice? Mozart's masterpiece is Piano Concerto No. 9, which he composed aged 21. Yes, this is still pretty young, but he was no longer a child at this age, and by 21 Mozart had done even more practice. So rather than being born to play, Mozart actually set out on the road to excellence at a really young age and worked at it every step of the way. Sorry about that, people. Serena Williams. What people think. A born tennis genius, super talented, a sporting legend. Serena started playing tennis with her dad when she was 3 years old. She played for 2 hours every day. Seriously, just imagine how good you might have been if you had played tennis for 2 hours every single day since you were 3. That's not to say that playing so much tennis at a young age is a good idea. But it is to say that so-called child prodigies are not just born with all that skill. They have to work and work at it. Good news is that Serena loved tennis. It was her passion. She played on courts with potholes and sometimes without nets, which could sometimes make things a bit tricky. Over time she developed grit, determination and most importantly skill through the thousands of hours of difficult practice she put in. She had an older sister to practice with, to stretch her too. Serena has also made many mistakes on her journey to sporting legend status. Some years after her first Grand Slam win, her world ranking slumped to 139. She struggled with family troubles and injury. She didn't give up though. She dug deep, and when she won her 20th Grand Slam in 2015, she told the crowd in French because she had learnt that too. When I was a little girl in California, my father and my mother wanted me to play tennis, and now I'm here with 20 Grand Slam titles. Her hard work, determination and resilience has paid off. The Bronte sisters. What people think. 3 sisters can write some of the finest works of English literature, then they must share some special genes. The facts. It's fair to say that growing up in rural Yorkshire in the 19th century was basically tech-free. With no internet or TV, Charlotte, Emily and Anne Bronte entertained each other by telling short stories they had made up. They invented entire worlds full of made-up characters and acted out scenarios between them. They also made friends with feedback. As close-knit siblings, they felt able to criticise each other's efforts constructively, which helped them all to improve. Then the sisters began to write their stories down in tiny matchbox-sized books so that adults couldn't pry and spoil their fun. As time went by, they wrote hundreds of stories which helped them to harness the power of their imaginations and to practice their writing and storytelling skills over and over and over again. One day when they were growing up, Charlotte found a book of poems written by Emily. Inspired by how good they were, she persuaded her sisters to work together with her on a book of poetry. Again, because they were so close, they were able to criticise and help each other in the most useful way possible. Their poetry book was eventually published, and the women were inspired to keep writing. Eventually, the sisters went on to pen seminal works of English literature. Novels such as Jane Eyre, written by Charlotte, and Wuthering Heights, written by Emily, classics that are read and loved to this day, and the women have gone down in history as some of the most famous siblings of all time. But their books didn't just happen. The Brontes practiced their writing and honed their craft for years before creating these masterpieces. David Beckham. What people think. Beckham scored an astonishing 65 goals from free kicks during his career. If you hate football, just know that 65 is an awesome achievement. And just so you know, when I say football, I also mean soccer. Just in case you Americans get confused and think I'm talking about American football. Or as you call it, football. Back to the book. I led people to say to David, it's like you were born taking these free kicks. Football must be in your DNA. The facts. David Beckham, now retired, was an awesome footballer. He played for England, Manchester United and Real Madrid, to name but a few teams. He laughed when a journalist suggested that he was born wearing a studded boot. No one saw how hard I worked as a kid, he said. No one saw how much I wanted to be good at this. How many keepy uppies can you do? I reckon I managed 4 at a push if the ball is bigger than usual. David Beckham could do 3 when he was 7, so basically the same as you or me. A keepy uppy, by the way, is that thing. No one really does it now, but it was quite big in the 90s and early zeros. People would, where you see them kick a ball with one foot and then on the other, and they keep going back between the feet. If you really can't imagine it, just put keepy uppy into YouTube. I'll spell it up on the screen so you know how to spell it, and you'll see what I mean. So what took Beckham from performing a couple of keepy uppies to a number that will blow your mind? Perhaps the best person to answer this is his mum, Sandra. I was amazed at how devoted he was, she says, remembering how she would watch him through the kitchen window. He would start when he got back from school and then continue until his dad got back from work. Then he would go down the park to practice some more. He was such an amazing kid when it came to his appetite for hard work. Slowly, Beckham improved. After 6 months he could get up to 50 keepy uppies. 6 months after that he was up to 200, which I'm sure you will agree is an impressive number. I do agree. But by the time he got to the age of 9 he had reached a new record that can only take your breath away, a whopping 2003. In total it took him 15 minutes to do it and his legs ached at the end. If you saw someone do thousands of keepy uppies, you would probably assume they had a natural gift. And you might also think you would never be able to achieve anything close. Both of these conclusions are completely understandable. What matters is let's start this sentence again, shall we? What matters is you see through them on your own journey to becoming awesome. Might not make you Beckham, but there's nothing stopping you from becoming so good at something that people just assume you're superhuman too. None of this is to say that it is a good idea to focus on one activity from a young age. Often it is better to try lots of things and to have fun doing them all before settling in on your passion. But it is to say that success is a journey, even for so-called child prodigies. They didn't inherit their success, they just started that journey very early in life. Human calculators. I think the actual human examples are done. Human calculators. What people think? You're either good at maths or you're not. Some people have a brain for numbers and some can do the most extraordinary calculations in their heads. While you and I might struggle with 9 times 12, Shakuntala Devi, born in Bangalore in 1929, when TV had barely been invented and no one had even thought of mobile phones, could multiply 2 13-digit numbers together in her head. So something like, I'm not even sure what those numbers are. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure how to pronounce them. I'll put the numbers up on the screen, if I remember. She could multiply 2 13-digit numbers together in her head in 28 seconds flat. For facts, when we see a human calculator or even someone in class who is much better than we are at maths, it is easy to think it must be down to some kind of talent or gift. That the answer appears in their heads as if put there by some maths fairy. But is there a fairy, or a set of inborn gifts, or is there a method? Is there a way of practicing this skill? I think there is. Let's have a go. Don't groan. Where's your growth mindset for your maths mojo? Let's start with 23 by 17. My friend actually got asked this in an interview once for a job. She got the question right but didn't get the job. We never understood why. Can you do it in your head? Possibly, but probably not. Step 1 in doing the sum. 10 times 23 makes 230. Let's call this your subtotal. Now remember this number. Step 2. 20 times 7 is 140. Add 140 to 270. Let's go again. Add 140 to 230 in your head to make 370. Remember this now, as this is your new subtotal. Set 4, an easy one now. 7 times 3 makes 21. Set 5. Add 370 to 21 to get the final answer. Minus 300. Oh no, it's just a dash. Sorry, not a minus. Your final answer is 391. Bingo! All of a sudden there are 5 relatively easy steps and you've got the answer. The only tricky bit is remembering the process to follow, and then at each stage remembering the subtotal to keep adding to. So hang on, you have to do some times tables. And remember one subtotal at a time. That's all. That's it. Where's the maths fairy in all of this? Suddenly this all seems a lot less tricky, doesn't it? Maybe those human calculators don't have superhuman maths genes after all. Now granted, there are more steps involved if you're trying to multiply 123 by 456, and even more if you're going to do the 2 long numbers from earlier. But the method can be exactly the same, and the method is not that hard if you want to give it a go. It's not always people who start out the smartest who end up the smartest. Check out Challenge. A French scientist took 2 children known as human calculators or maths prodigies and compared their ability to multiply 3-digit numbers together. For example, 768 multiplied by 376 with a group of checkout cashiers from a French supermarket. Bon Marché, to be precise. Which I think translates as good market. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain it is good market. The cashiers had worked at the supermarket for 14 years. The cashiers had worked at the supermarket for 14 years and had no gift for maths other than the practice of calculating the prices of goods they sold each day. This was back in 1826, well before anyone had a calculator, let alone a cash till, and so they did all of the addition in their heads. The supermarket staff were better and faster than the child prodigies. 14 years of purposeful practice had honed their math skills. Now, as you can probably tell, my voice is going a bit funny tonight. My throat is feeling a tad weird from the talking. So I'm going to finish this here tonight. It's not as long as normal, or what I was planning, but I've done some reading and I'm happy. And I hope you are too. Now, I think the lesson to be learned is that if we want to be good at something, we have to keep working at it. And if we want to get better, we have to keep working at it. If you take the example at the end, supermarket cashiers, despite probably having little to no education, were better at doing sums than the child prodigies were. So practice makes perfect, as they say. So I'm going to leave this here because my voice, and I hope you are all taking care of yourselves. And until next time, bye.